How do you try to convince Celeste to go on this walk?
During the vacation, Hana will find one Celeste. We verify her identity. It is correct. This is Celeste. Perfect. Step 1 complete. From there on, Hana leads in the door. He looks at her and just squints. He says, I'm planning on going on a nature walk later. Would you be interested in joining me?
The answer is no, apparently.
Why are you coming to me regarding the nature walk?
Because if I went to Hash, she'd ask me why I didn't go to you. Because, as I've been informed and have seen first-hand experience, you like nature.
Well,
Plus, you're relatively good at tracking, and apparently there's larger animals in these woods that I would rather not run into, so... Smiles.
I suppose I can take time out of my very busy schedule to escort you on your nature walk, Hana.
Fantastic.
Alright.
Provides time, provides date, departs.
Alrighty, so when do y'all go for this walk?
Probably like partway through week 1.
Okay. Alrighty. Give me a moment as I scroll through all my all my garbage. What's that? Okay, that's what that is. Okie dokie. So, the time eventually comes, and I imagine it is Celeste who drives the vehicle.
Hana can drive too. He doesn't give a shit.
All right. So, who would you be the one wanting to drive, Hana, or do you want to let Celeste drive?
Celeste drives like a mad woman.
Celeste is a mad woman.
I will drive.
Okay. So she seems slightly disappointed when she gets in the passenger seat.
He just stops. He looks like, do you want to drive?
I do enjoy driving, but since you're already there's no need to make a hassle.
Oh, no. If this is going to make you happy, I'm indifferent. He unclicks his seatbelt.
She gives him... she kind of, like, gives you a look, Hana. It's hard to read. You're not very good at expressions.
Yeah, he doesn't try to read it if it's hard.
Hard to read.
I'm just like, this seems like it'd take a lot of effort. Well...
You're able to switch seats. She buckles in. She waits for you to be buckle in. And you're forced up against the back of your seat and she speeds off.
Yep, there we go.
And so you vroom away. Like, not even 5 minutes go by before you hear the radio in the vehicle go off with a Hash's voice of, "Don't damage the roads." And Celeste, being Celeste, like, how would I damage roads? Everything's dirt and gravel, Celeste. We don't want to leave any ruts, because then we gotta pay for that.
Probably shouldn't radio while driving.
I can multitask. She can multitask. She says,
multitask away.
She says, eyes completely off of the road at the moment. One hand on the steering wheel.
Hana just looks ahead. If he dies, he dies. But it'd be a shitty way to go.
No, but she does hang it up. But thankfully, she does slow down a bit. It's still probably above, a posted speed limit, but you haven't seen any speed limit signs, so you don't know what a posted speed limit is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as fast as it was a couple moments ago.
Okay. Also, Chance.
Yes.
Do you have pre-notes on this planet, or am I okay just to make shit up?
So the planet is an agri world, but it doesn't so much support like like crops as it does a lot of ranches.
Okay.
There is definitely a lot of nature and whatnot, like large forests, mountains. Like the current area y'all are in is like a valley sort of area, but mostly a lot of greenery. But as you get closer to the mountains, there's more and more greenery. And besides that, all of the predators were imported from old Terra TM back during that colonization rush. With very, very few hybrids. Like hybrids do exist within the flora, more so than the fauna. But there's a couple weird critters here and there. But think of it as a very temperate environment that y'all are currently in.
Perfect.
But so besides that, you can go kind of hog wild. So like bears are a distinct possibility.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Then while they're driving, he said, "Have you done research about the planet already?"
I always do a little bit of research about the planet.
Well, then I'm sure you must be excited to know about the local flora and fauna. Unmodified.
For the most part, yes.
That's not as common these days.
Well, everyone wants things to be more efficient. Or alternatively, everyone changes things because they can.
Yes. I imagine this is a little closer to like afternoon. He says, the fireflies seem to be especially notable in the fields and forest area at night, or at least once dusk sets in.
Well, that would mean that there's a very large firefly population.
That's correct.
They're incredibly noticeable.
I figured it's something you might take note in. You like bugs, don't you?
Yes, I do enjoy insects.
He nods. Just try and keep an eye out for clearings while looking.
All right.
And then he continues on.
Do you know why fireflies emit light?
I don't know if Hana would. Maybe. Can I make a roll?
Sure.
Bree doesn't, but Hana's a dork. I don't have know-how for bugs, but I do have brains.
Yep.
3 successes.
All right. One moment. Because I need to get like the actual scientific stuff, because that's what Hana would have, not the dumbed down version of it.
I believe it's bioluminescence to a degree.
Yeah, but there's a reason why they do it. So you would know that they do it for 2 primary reasons. One as a mating display, and 2 as a defense mechanism.
Okay.
It's to signal to predators that, hey, I'm here, don't eat me. Because it's part of what makes them glow, is why they even do it in the first place, is that it makes them quite unpalatable, very gross. So it's a defense mechanism. A couple fireflies will die, but the rest will live.
He mating ritual as well as a defense mechanism, warning to the others should there be a natural predator nearby.
Yeah. And the girl will nod her head and then say, there's another which is a bit lesser known.
Oh.
There's a separate breed of firefly which specifically illuminates itself to attract male fireflies of a different species so it can then predate on them.
Really?
Yes.
Do they look noticeably different?
They're larger. However, they mimic the exact same displays as the females of the other species.
I see.
That's not to say that they can't change it to their species' normal methods of communication, but it is what they do. I actually have a male of that species in one of my collections. Haven't found a female, though.
Is that what the goal is for today?
Well, if I come across one, I come across it. I don't so much search for them as other enthusiasts might. I find that takes away from the charm. It's kind of like bird watching. If you go out to see a specific kind of bird, it kind of ruins the whole experience. Fishing's another good example of that. You don't go out there to catch fish, you go out there to relax and maybe catch a fish.
Depends on the person.
Well, if they're trying to actually catch a fish and it's not their job, they're doing it wrong.
I agree. Not only that, it's a waste of resources, really. If you don't require the fish, why are you catching it?
The experience would be why, which is why I said that if you go out not with the expectations of catching a fish, but just to the experience of maybe catching a fish. Most recreational fishermen don't even catch every time they go fishing.
True. I was invited to go fishing alongside Finn the other day. They need someone to drive them.
I'm surprised Finn didn't ask me, considering I took him deep water fishing not too long ago.
I'm also surprised.
Hana, getting Finn in trouble.
You're welcome to join if you like.
Hmm.
But I will warn you, Ram would be there.
Hmm. Well, then I suppose I will have to wait and see if Finn asks me then.
Without prodding, I assume.
Yes, without prodding. Kind of defeats the point of Finn asking me if I go up to Finn and be like, oh, you didn't invite me to do something.
Well, then it's in Finn's hands to responsibly deny you if he doesn't want you there.
Finn may have grown a bit more of a spine, but I don't think they're exactly at that point yet.
Making progress.
A little bit.
I believe there's redwoods here.
I believe you're correct, but I'm unsure if we'll be seeing any of those.
If you see a tall tree, should be easy enough to find.
Yes, but they also have fairly specific growing requirements.
Well, yes, the soil needs to be right. However, the climate of this planet is about fitting the mark. They tend to only grow in temperate. Do you know why that is?
From what I understand, it has something to do with saving on resources.
Yes, it's a big part of it is actually the fog that comes with the area. Since they're so tall, they don't have to worry about losing moisture when they open up the cuticle, allowing the gaseous exchange. So it allows them to be tall, but also still contain their moisture. Opposed to that of like a desert plant, which is usually very low to the ground.
And normally quite fat.
Exactly. Well, that's just in general with tall trees here in temperate areas. Firs get that tall as well.
But they're not as impressive.
No. Still interesting in their own right, though.
I suppose. The good thing that we can at least talk about flora and fauna. It is going to be a bit of a long drive.
What is it estimated to be? Both in general and with your speeding.
An hour normally. With my speeding. About an hour and a half if I drive at this speed.
Hour and a half. It's longer.
Would be 2 hours if I was driving the standard speed limit.
I thought you just said an hour.
Oh no, normal an hour if I'm speeding.
Well, if you'd like to, I won't stop you. Just don't crash us. Do you care if I smoke?
I already got called out by Hash, so I will not be speeding more than I already am. And just roll down the window.
Nods. We'll roll down the window and light up a cigarette.
So are you trying to make nice with me now, Hana, or are you actually interested in the fact that I'm the only other person on the ship other than Trent that cares about wildlife?
It wasn't that I wasn't trying to make nice with you before. Just I wasn't sure if you wanted to kill me.
Why would I want to kill you?
I don't know. You seem to make plenty of jokes about secretly being a Terran spy.
I am a Terran spy, Hana.
Uh-huh.
I'm also a Federation spy, too.
Yep. Well...
That was a real joke that I was always making.
Well, are you a Federation spy after me?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty upfront and honest about that one, I think.
He squints at them.
It's very hard to read her, Hana. Is she a Terran spy? Is she going to abandon you in the woods, Hana? Roll me a cold.
Okay.
Are you going to say a bear got you?
3 successes. He keeps his cool. He just says, "With all due respect, Celeste, I cannot read your tone whatsoever. Clarification would be appreciated. There are a good many people who would love to see me dead or spied upon."
Well, it's a good thing that most people can't read my tone, Hana. And to inform you, it would be one hell of a coincidence that I was sent to Varasi, who I happened to just stumbled upon a man, and I managed to beat him in a shooting contest while we were both drunk at a backwater shithole. All so I could spy on you. That's a really convenient and convoluted plot.
And yet it's still plausible.
Technically, anything is plausible, Hana.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Hash could be the spy.
Hash isn't the spy.
It's
if
plausible,
there even is
though.
one. Hash can't lie.
What if that's what he wants you to think?
No. I give him credit. He can pull off a stunt here and there. But a prolonged lie to this proportion? No.
But that's the entire thing. What if Hash, as you know it, is just this character who can't lie?
I don't think that's true. I mean,
But
I
it's
understand your
plausible.
point.
It's
plausible. Yes,
Yes.
Hash could secretly be a mastermind who's been spying on me
Absolutely.
this whole time.
I don't think the Hash was sent to spy. It was clearly sent to spy on his own brother Melv.
Yes, after all, they're trying to collect details after what happened in the army.
Exactly.
No, point being, you've always been the mysterious one. He does air quotes on the ship. You disappear for days at a time. You come back. You don't
I
talk about
do.
what you've done or
It's
your
true.
motivations.
I'm actually going to be doing that again in 2 days.
Oh, fantastic. More
It'll
the
be fun.
reason to be absolutely suspicious of you.
I know. But sometimes after I disappear for those like week-long, well, normally not week, like a couple day-long journeys of mine, I always come back with like some sort of little trophy or food, one or the other.
Yes.
Normally it's a really shitty trophy too.
I don't think that really matters.
I think
what
it matters.
do you do
I would
anyway?
like to have a better trophy. Thank you very much.
What
I
do
do
you
all
do?
sorts of things.
Such as?
Well, secret spy work, going hunting, training with my handlers, handling in the reports to my boss, and most importantly, I'm out there finding the most backwater competitions I can in the local area and winning them.
And that's how you found Hash.
And that's how I found Hash.
Why?
Because I have an ego. I like to, massage it at every opportunity. And beating a
And
bunch of hicks at their own games is always fun.
destroying
back
their
home.
already minuscule worldview.
Well, it's not so much that I'm destroying their minuscule worldview. I am one of them.
You're a hick?
I was born and raised on a ranch.
Eyebrows up? Well, I didn't
God.
know that.
I talk about how I'm a ranch girl.
I don't listen
I was
to
the-
you.
I was the best shot on the ranch. I killed varmints for most of my young adult life, my teenage years, and as a child. When I wasn't out working the fields or feeding the animals with all my brothers and sisters. They gave me a gun when I was like 5. Probably when I was 4.
Maybe when you were 3.
No, I didn't have a gun when I was 3. I was being taught how to use a gun when I was 3.
Now that is responsibility.
Exactly.
So places like these are homey.
Oh yes. That's why I speed everywhere. Speed limits are just a suggestion.
You know, you're far enough from camp that if they did see the divots, they couldn't hold us responsible.
You're right. However, the other farmers nearby, which are probably squinting at this weird vehicle that's not caked in enough mud and blood, is what it's doing, and they're the kind of people who will absolutely try to make a big fuss over nothing.
Very true.
Oh look! You left a divot in the road, and my cow just happened to trip and fall in it. Oh, my prize racehorse, who hasn't raced in 10 years, broke its leg. Give me 1,000,000 credits.
Have to make the living somehow, even if it's swarmy.
Well, that's just how it is.
Where did you come from, anyway?
A backwater shithole.
Known as...
Why are you curious what backwater shithole I came from?
Because I might know about it.
Well, have you ever heard of Alexandria? The second.
Can I roll?
Sure.
Straight bands, baby!
You get a certain amount of successes.
4 successes.
Okay, so you've heard you've heard of a planet called Alexandria, but it's not a backwater shithole.
Oh,
It's actually kind of a pretty well off place. It's one of the quote unquote core worlds of today's society, as it was one of the first colonies that really got itself established.
Mm-hmm.
And also one of a handful of colonies which openly rebelled against the Terrans after the wall was painted, and the people of Alexandria saw that if they didn't rebel, they would have gotten killed too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's just not a shithole. But you think you recall in Alexandria too. You don't think Rossi's ever been there, but you probably
Mhm.
heard a bar talk about it at some point.
So
that
there is
there's
a
this-
second Alexandria.
Yeah, there's a Alexandria 2, which is a part of the Alexandria system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually the fourth planet in the system called Alexandria 2, which
Oh!
is really confusing because the people there always refer to it as Alexandria Prime. But
God. That is
politics,
backwater.
right? And you've only heard about it in passing. You don't know a lot about it, but definitely a shithole. Somewhere on the Eastern Fringe too. And the Eastern Fringe is like a huge region of space.
Okay. Then he takes a puff and he says, "Well, to toss it between one of the 4 Alexandria II."
That it is. I'm on the only habitable one. Because despite them saying the other 2 are habitable, they're fucking not, because if you step out of the atmosphere, you fucking die. Well, that's a mining world for you.
I've heard about it and never been. Thank the stream. But yeah, it sounds pretty shit.
Most non-urbanized worlds are pretty shit. Not as shit as places like Arista or places that got hit by rebellion.
Huh. Barista. Understandably.
Been there once. Wasn't fun.
Barista?
Yeah.
What possessed you to go there?
I heard there was a competition to find Terran junk.
Find
didn't-
anything?
Well, you see, technically, the survivors all won. Because we all brought back the best things. But there
But
was
you
like
had to
7
survive.
of us, so... Well, that, and there was like 30 people. None of them local. And only like 7 of us came back. Honestly, I think it's a big scam to for locals to have a little bit of fun seeing someone else die that's not them.
And getting the rewards all the same.
Yes. I got a little
Oh.
shitty trophy though, so there's that.
Nothing like some good old exploitation.
The universe is built upon the foundation of exploitation and credits.
You tell me. I don't miss planets, I'll tell you that much. I mean, visiting them is nice here and there, but he rolls his eyes.
I certainly prefer living on planets. It's so much nicer rather than 0.5 gravity all the time. Feel like I have to work double as hard because I do to keep up my muscle mass.
Oh, I suppose so, yeah, for you. But the culture is, I find, easier in relation to ships.
Well, every spacer
Spacers.
knows. Well, Every spacer knows that they're all in it together, even the scummy ones, so when times get tough, everyone has to pitch in together.
Exactly.
Unless you're the one making the situation rough.
Well, then you are quite aware you're the one making it rough.
Right, precisely.
But otherwise, it's a very communal thing. Almost reminds me of home if it wasn't so often illegal. Still reminds me of home. He takes a puff and just blows again.
But yes, that's the shithole I come from.
What made you get into all this?
Well, after my stint in the military, I kind of didn't want to go back home. So, I went off of a merc life.
Hmm.
Can make a lot of money for my skills. And, well, there's also a bit of stigma with my skills as well, so it's hard to get consecutive work.
What was shooting?
Well, in particular, with being a scout. All of that wishy-washy mumbo-jumbo. And anyone that has access to a Federation server banks can easily bring up my some of my information and be like, oh shit, she was a scout. What did she do? And then that's when all the questions start asking. And then I'm like, oh, I can't tell you about that. I can't tell you about that. NDAs. It's hard to get a job. For stuff that's more than just a one-off of, hey, go stand there and shoot some people, or hey, go stand there and shoot some people, or hey, go over there and shoot some people.
Ugh.
The really fun ones were, hey, go stand over there and watch as all of the Marines die to Rippers and then report back what happened.
How helpful?
No. Don't shoot. Just watch. Those ones are really fun.
I'm going to assume that's sarcasm.
Yeah, it was.
Fantastic. Such is the issue with having a lack of job history, though, as essentially your mark of scout is a big thumb note of, I'm not telling you my previous work history.
Except for the fact that I worked as a scout.
Correct.
Which in itself comes with all sorts of stigmas.
I don't think I'm familiar.
Okay, well, most people know what a HAL dropper, HAL diver, orbital drop trooper is. Most people know what a Marine does. Very good guys. They go out and they fight the bad guys. They fight the bioterror weapons. They do all that fun stuff. What scouts do is their intelligence. They report upon objectives. They assassinate particular targets for the Federation. When people hear that you're a scout, they don't know what kind of scout you are, and you can't tell them what kind of scout you were. For all anyone knows, the only missions I ever did were recon. For all people know, I was a frontline combatant. For all people know, I was a stealth operative. People don't know, and I can't tell them. And
so
as
you
such,
can't clarify your skills.
And on top of that, people are going to assume the worst.
Of course they are.
And mix that in with a society that, over large, doesn't like the Federation too much for some pretty valid reasons. It's hard to get a job. that isn't basically assassination work, because those are the only sort of people that are going to hire you. So getting a job like Verasi, where, well, it pays kind of shit, but works pretty easy. And I have room and board, so it's alright.
And get to see plenty of planets.
That's not so much of a big boon for me. I mostly enjoy the watching the ship carcasses get ripped apart. That I find pretty amusing. Even if it's less explosive and more tactical.
It is a calming. There's a calming aspect to it.
That is for sure.
Looping back around, I don't think I actually answered your question.
Oh?
I'm not trying to make peace with you. Honestly, I never had an issue with you. So long as there isn't an issue, I don't have one. Makes sense?
So, what you are saying is that, again, you heard a stigma about myself, you came to the negative assumption that I'm here to kill you, and as such, you based your entire interaction with myself to be as little as possible because you thought I was going to kill you.
Yes.
Alright, yeah, makes sense.
Nods. Would have done it with anyone else. There's a reason I didn't talk with some other crew members for a while. You should have seen me when I first joined. What was the name of the ship before the Rossi?
The skipper.
The Skipper. Okay, I need to write that down because I keep forgetting. You should have seen me when I first joined the Skipper.
Oh?
Yeah, it's nothing personal. Trust me. I don't think I spoke with Melvash or Trent for the first 2 years? Year and a half?
That's quite some time.
Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. You're not keen on getting shot, you don't give yourself reasons to be shot. Or more of avoid those who may be keen on doing it. Perhaps you feel differently and you seem to handle yourself a bit more outwardly.
Well, I tend to think of it in the regards that I may as well be forefront and honest, because it just saves my life so much trouble.
Forefront and honest.
Yes,
In all things?
of course. Except for the things that involve my NDAs, in which case I just, can't talk about that. Quite convenient.
Everything else is a jest, or...
What do you mean?
There are times where I genuinely cannot tell if you mean what you say.
You see, that just makes things more fun. Because I speak in this level tone where everything that I say could mean two separate things. It's very fun.
Well, fortunately for you, your level tone doesn't mean anything compared to even if you use tonation at all. It's the same to me. But... So that what makes that the difference between that being the truth and just allowing it to be misinterpreted for a double meaning, or if you never lie, what is that?
Well, it's like this. I'm not directly telling, or indirectly, or even through omission, telling lies. I'm letting people come to their own conclusions, which lets me learn a lot more about them than they are from me.
That can be considered through omission.
And if I was withholding information, I would consider it with omission. I'm
Well,
giving you truthful information. Oh,
Sorry.
I'm giving you truthful information. It's your prerogative to sort it out. That's what I viewed, at least.
I see. Well, that clarifies things a bit. Makes sense why Hash likes you.
Oh,
He appreciates honesty.
that he does.
I don't think I needed to tell you that one. You two are practically inseparable.
We can be at times, yeah.
At times.
Well, there is quite a lot of time where we're not near each other, so yeah, I would say at times.
I suppose. All times except when not. If that's what you prefer.
It works.
And he lets it kind of lapse into silence unless she says anything.
She has... Does she have anything to say? Yeah, y'all can lapse into silence, and then she starts talking about bugs again.
he will join her bug talk.
All
Like
right.
every now and then mixing bug talk in with plant talk.
All right. Hana will learn that there's another person who understands that there's many, many more pollinators than just bees.
Finally. He will also set a light goal. Because Hana, whenever he comes to these places, he's looking for specific plants to add to his collection. And so he will list out a plant to find this go around. Let's find it. Let's set it as the white trillium.
All right. That's the national flower of Ontario.
Is it?
It is. All right. So eventually you're able to reach your destination. It is apparent that there is 2 other vehicles present, both of which are also some sort of like pickup trucks. Probably hunters.
Looks like we have company.
Well, they're not going to shoot us.
How fortunate.
She goes into her backpack and removes a singular orange fluorescent hat as she just puts that on.
I'll just stick near you. He puts on a backpack.
All right.
Am I leading the way, or are you?
I don't really care.
Well, then I'm leading the way, I suppose. And he'll
Suppose
look
you
and-
are then.
Is there a clear taken path, or is it just... Okay, he'll start with that.
It's also a somewhat marked path.
Mm-hmm.
So, like little plastic ribbons here and there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just to let you know that you're still on the path. But, it's not like one of those official, recreation sort of paths, even though it's labeled as one
Mm-hmm.
on the tourist website. It's just it's probably more along the lines of the local path that's just been created over the years.
Yeah, it's just been treaded so much.
Yeah, you can see as you go down it, it's clear that someone probably maintains it, or maybe like a community of people maintain it, because trees are kept off of it. Some of the more iffy areas have like clearly someone added steps to it with a railing, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
Someone spent the time to dig up the roots so that you don't like trip on them, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And as he's walking, he'll chat plants. Just idly be like, favorite. What is your favorite bug, anyway?
I like mantises.
Oh.
Yes, they're quite fascinating. And I know the crustaceans and other, such animals like that. I like shrimp because they're somewhat loosely related to mantises. Loosely, I use very vaguely because they have a common ancestor. And that's about it.
So what about it is it that's so fascinating to you?
Well, I enjoy how multiple different mantises have multiple different takes at camouflage, how some of them have incredibly niche diets, and I also enjoy the fact that they're one of the few animals that have adapted centaurism.
Oh.
Yes. They have a rear section and they have a bipedal stance section as well, except they're not bipedal.
But they're capable of assuming different positions as necessary.
Yes. And they've also developed the means of turning their frontmost legs into, well, grasping appendages. In most cases, those being claws.
So it's the adaptational capabilities of the mantis.
They also look cool.
I can respect that.
It also amuses me that most people think that. Had a big yawn there. Most people think that praying mantises, mostly well known for killing their spouse after mating, but while that certainly does happen, a lot of praying mantises have a ritual involved where the male more or less bribes the female into eating, then they perform a mating while the female's still eating, then the male fucks off before it gets eaten.
Finding ways to survive.
Yes, and as such, a weird adaptation evolved from the praying mantises, where most animals, the biggest and most successful males reproduce with praying mantises. The clever males are more likely to continue to reproduce, because most of these successful males reproduce once, whereas the clever ones, multiple times.
Thus strengthening the gene pool.
Yes. As most praying mantis species are intelligent enough to, have not just a standard ambush where they wait for something to get close to them, but they will pick their targets. Another misconception with mantises is that they will go after anything that comes near them, which they will certainly try to eat things that are bigger than they are. They'll normally be successful too, if they get their claws on them. But if there is a smaller insect in front of them, and we know that there's a bigger insect coming closer to eat the smaller one, they'll wait for a bigger one, rather than exposing themselves. Something many animals and insects lack the ability to wait when there's food right in front of them.
That's true. Have you ever seen the orchid mantis.
That's the pink one, right?
That is the pink one. That looks like a flower.
Yeah. I actually have one in my collection.
Do you?
I do.
Good find. That is a fantastic show of mimicry on their part.
Hmm. And that one is, in particular, one of them that feeds off of more specific animals, mostly birds.
I'm not surprised. They get rather large.
That
Especially
they
the
do.
modified ones.
That they do. I don't have one of those.
I'm sure this planet's dedicated to it. I remember when they started establishing worlds specifically in history, it talked about for saving the population of certain Terran species through experimentation and allowing them to have uncontested habitats.
Yep. A lot of out there middle buttfuck nowhere worlds were designated as reservations, and a couple of people who wanted to set up a reservation and then die were allowed to go on board to set everything all up. And they died. Yay.
How fun.
And such climates normally end up resulting in all sorts of unexpected mutations.
When you have no one around to keep an eye on it, entropy will occur.
Yes. But yeah, that was back during the time of, Terra's going to die and crash and burn.
Yes, and, many of the warring factions wanted Terra itself to fall. Its subsets and cultural complexities were more valued.
That's why there's so many different kinds of people these days.
Galaxy's come a long way since then.
That it has.
I knew you were larger on history. You're one of the few people on a ship that tends to bring it up. Did teachers teach you that back on Alexandria?
Could you say the question again?
Oh, he said, I know you're more prone to history than others, because most others don't bring it up. He says, did they teach you that back on Alexandria?
No. I learned that during my time in the Federation.
They're big on history?
Well, one of the subsidiary courses I was able to take was.
Good. What can be learned from the past?
That's
But
why
not everyone's looking away from it.
That's why they have a lot of people learn it. The problem comes with the fact that most people these days don't trust all the history being taught for one reason or another.
That's why you compare and contrast different sources.
That's exactly why you do that.
He keeps walking until he kind of gets to a high point on a hill. I imagine they're in the wooded area by that point and looks around. Alright, let's see here. Anything of note? You don't happen to have binoculars on you, do you?
At the moment, I do not. I do have a scope for a rifle, though.
That'll do.
And she will hand you the scope.
Take it, look through scope, see if there's anything of note. Anything of interest, be it wildlife, fauna, or anything in between.
Probably a couple fiends here and there.
He'll stop and he'll be like, well, let's see, here we have... Looks like a rabbit nest over there, a bow. Ah! You know, this might be worth it, actually. He hands the scope back. There's a grouping of pines over there. Given we were talking about fireflies earlier, might be a good place to look.
Alright, well, let's head on over.
He'll start heading down. Jesus Christ. And he starts heading down, and as he does, he says, how long do you want to be out here?
Well, I don't exactly have that much of a time limit.
Fantastic. We have a lot of ground to cover.
That we do.
Into the pine. Starts looking it over. You know, I'm sure you're aware that the ladybugs like to, or fireflies like to make this their home. Most common of the trees. In a temperate area, anyway.
Plenty of cover for them.
Plenty of cover, and I do believe part of it is also it's just in general a nutritious tree. Lots of minerals and anything that could be used off of it. Lots of divots to hide in. The needles themselves are very useful all around.
It also provides home and safety from larger predators that might want to eat them, which don't care about the foul taste.
Exactly.
And most importantly, it gives them a safe breeding ground.
What I always found interesting about this, at least this specific one here, you see it more in temperate coniferous forests, but he brushes the dirt so to like move some of the pine needles to the side. He says they have an acidic quality to them. It makes it so that plants don't like to grow below. The soil becomes rather what is the word for it? Unideal. I just find that fascinating about these trees. They stake their claim.
Well, there's competition always throughout nature.
Oh, absolutely. This one seems to be a red pine.
Is it because it's red?
No.
She says, looking at it. She says, looking at the green and brown, well, grayish tree.
Right?
And she sounds completely serious, as always. Talking with Celeste is a time.
That's it. That is the conclusion. Well, not red, but he taps the bark. Close enough.
So why do they call it a red pine?
Because the brown is almost red, Celeste.
Hmm.
Not even, though. It's just these patches here. And he'll take out... I imagine he's probably got a... what's it called? A multi-tool.
Oh, a multi-tool, okay.
Yeah. He scrapes off some of the outer surface to show the more red beneath.
Ah, I see.
It's still pretty brown, honestly. It's a bit of a stretch. But I do make fun pine cones, though. He picks up one of them.
I suppose they can.
I'm going to collect some of these. Lauren likes them. Could you hand me... he probably put down his bag when he came over. He's like, can you hand me my bag?
She just strolls over, picks it up, walks back. There you are.
Thank you very much. He collects some pine cones for the Lorne.
Easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
You destroy nature to get Lauren her pine cones.
Nah, they're just the ones that have fallen already.
You've destroyed the equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Some creature could have used that pine cone. Remember when... Now, to confirm, Christmas is no longer celebrated, right? That shit's gone.
Yeah, like Christmas is gone. You have Giving's Mass.
Yeah.
Or Giving's Feast, as people might, or as most people call it.
Is Christmas still learned from, like, history lessons and stuff? Would they have learned about the ancient holiday?
Not really, no. Like,
Okay.
learning that's really niche stuff. Like, only, anthropologists learn about that.
Fucking nerds.
Yeah. Or, people that are really into Terran history. So
Okay.
it's possible that if you're into Terran stuff, you might learn about it.
I can roll just for the hell of it, but I don't think Hannah's a huge Terran fanboy. I did work for a Terran fanboy, though, so...
You did.
But I know about Christmas, apparently! So
No, it's a holiday, and involved a jolly fat man.
Mhm.
And there's presents.
You
Sometimes
know,
there was coal for some reason, but like, why?
Back in old Terra, and I mean old Terra, they used to use these trees for a holiday.
You mean Earth times, right?
Yes. Strange traditions they had. From what research I had, they'd cut down a tree, place it within their abodes, and line the nearest entryway, generally a vertical one, such as a hearth or a chimney, and wait for someone to come down it. Very strange.
Yes, the jolly fat man who broke into your house.
Yes,
And then
the celebration of home intrusion.
Yes, the version that I learned about from just glossing involved a jolly fat red person that was able to fly, and they were powered upon milk and cookies.
I wonder if the reason that they were considered red had to do with the tree.
Possibly. It's called a red pine, even though it's not red.
Exactly.
Why is this conversation killing you, Con? There was another tradition that got horribly bastardized, and got even more bastardized apparently, where there was a idea of wearing masks to scare away spirits, the dead, those sorts of things. Because apparently, old Earth, or old Terra as we all know it, had a undead problem. And eventually, after they dealt with the undead problem, it then became a thing of wearing a mask to get sweets.
Well, you see... Again. 6 successes again! You see, I heard in relation to that, that the holiday itself was a way to placate their youth.
Well, I know candy certainly does take the youth.
Yes, and in addition to that, the, what would you call it, the fear factor seemed to keep them in line. I wouldn't know. I'm not the one having to deal with the youth of the masses, nor am I live on Old Terra, but their traditions altogether, there were many more than just that. I'm rather glad it's been simplified down over the years to what sticks. Imagine having to celebrate so many different days. What a waste of time.
Oh, for productivity is what ruins it for you.
Yes. There's always so much to do. Could you imagine what that'd do to a work schedule?
Well, I imagine back then, most people probably lived their lives out like how colonists live out their lives, where they work throughout the day and then they retire for the rest of their evening, and it's just like that all the time. They don't get any proper break except for time when they're not working. So I'd imagine that those holidays gave them time to not work. Meanwhile, spacers, well, we do the bare minimum, and then we work hard, then we do the bare minimum again.
Interspersed. Or, the way of Halos, we specialize in something that we find extremely fascinating or skilled at, and by comparison is rather easy once you're good at it. And that leaves you a decent amount of free time once you complete your work.
And then all the work that no one wants to do is done by menials and menial drones.
Well, yes, but I also think it's important to note that on other planets, there's plenty of work in which no one wants to do. On Halo, generally, most things are covered by someone. Someone wants to do something at some point. And I know that's broad, but there's many different specializations one can go into.
I think so more of a point is the fact that Halo doesn't have a lot of people doing the tasks that are required to keep a society functioning. That's why everyone kind of looks down upon Halos. Because they don't have it tough by any means.
I wouldn't.
Meanwhile,
say that.
Most places can't afford the drones and robotics required to do all those jobs that no one wants to do. Instead, they gotta get people to do all those terrible jobs. It's why mining worlds are such shitholes. It's cheaper to have a person do it than it is to get a fucking robot. Even though you'd think having a robot would be cheaper because it doesn't take breaks.
Yes, but that requires them to make a long-term investment opposed to immediately finding the payout of a human worker.
Precisely. And thus, we get the shit that is a mining world.
Yes. So in that case, it isn't that they lack the funds. The person behind the world that's sponsoring the operation, by most means, has the ability to, but through their own greed and self-centered inability to see to the future and how it will benefit the masses and themselves, they shoot everyone in the foot.
Well, I don't think it's not benefiting themselves, Hana.
Well, it would benefit themselves if they made a long-term investment. Just they wouldn't do it immediately.
Well, what most of the mining world barons do is they buy in, they make the place productive, then they sell it to someone else, and that person makes it more productive, and they sell it to someone else. So there's never any point to make a long-term investment.
Such short-sightedness.
It's always switching hands, and that's how they make maximum profits.
And then those who are working within it are stuck in their position.
An indefinite contract, yeah.
He shakes his head.
Which, well, it's not so much indefinite. The contract probably changes each time a new company takes ownership. And then they have to renegotiate their contract all over again. Which is another means of keeping them down in their place. Don't go to a mining world, Hana. Lots of riots happen.
I have no plans to go to a mining world, Celeste. Rest easy.
I'm just saying, it's not an ideal place for vacation, even if you're a geologist.
I think, if anything, maybe just pre-warn Malv.
Well, it's a good thing that we never have any real reason to go to mining worlds, except for recently when we went to that shithole for Harkin.
Yes.
Oh yeah, let's just build a colony on a tightly locked world. There's no problem with that.
Can't go wrong.
Oh, but the planet doesn't actually orbit, doesn't have any rotation as well? Well, shit.
You have to question what they were thinking when they chose that location.
I think they were thinking that there was some very high deposits of some sort of mineral there.
And then there were none.
And there was none.
Could figure that out with automation. Hey, what are these? And he kind of taps something in the ground. Can you confirm if those are tracks or not? Rather not start following in a direction that belongs to something else.
Yes, those are indeed tracks, Hana.
Of what variety?
Well, of some sort of mammalian.
Now we're making progress.
And what kind of tracks do you want these to be there, Bree?
I don't know. What do you want them to be? I can do a random animal generator if you want.
Alright, I'm going to roll my random generator. Alright. And she will say, well, you see, Hana, they belong to a really, really fat creature. Most likely, a very fat raccoon.
Raccoon.
Yes. And judging from where they're going towards, that fat raccoon is currently foraging, and... if you look up on your red pine, that's not red, right up there. Do you see that collection of leaves up there?
I do.
Mostly obscured? That's probably the raccoon's nest. So it's probably a raccoon that doesn't have any young, or is a male raccoon, because it's living up in a tree.
How often are raccoons seen by people who of the ship variety? How long has it been since we have seen? It's not red. Not all red pines are red, Jordan. A deciduous red pine is brown. Yeah, no, I know we went over that. I don't know if you were here for that. They cut into the bark and saw.
There's a red pine, Jordan. I know that the wood itself is red, and thus, when you remove the outermost layer of bark, you can see that there's red underneath. However, it's more of a reddish brown until you get deeper in, then it's more and more red.
Thank you.
we both know this. We know this. Celeste is just being like, it's clearly green.
We've studied the carpenter in chat.
I'm gonna kill him. Well, you can kill me when you come down here, Jordan.
This entire RP was worth it just to piss Jordan off about red pines.
So yes, seeing a raccoon is quite uncommon. Probably don't even know where a raccoon is, other than some sort of mammalian.
I know what a fucking raccoon is. How dare you? Alright. They're relatively docile so long as you don't attack them or make them feel threatened, correct?
And so long as they're not sick. However, judging the fact that it's out and about now, it's just getting to dusk, probably not sick.
Want to track it? I've never seen one in person.
Alright.
He just
So-
chuckles. Seems like such a terrible effort.
I go out on nature walks not to track animals.
The animals might lead to bugs.
Doubtful.
We'll see.
More likely than anything, the raccoons foraging around for nuts, scraps, and anything that's been buried or recently deceased.
Raccoons aren't scavengers in that sense. Are they?
They're technically omnivores. They'll eat anything,
Hmm.
but they prefer scavenging over hunting. And considering that, well, they might be looking for any toads or small animals that are out and about. But yes, they're more so scavengers than they are, well, hunters.
Well, it's better than randomly wandering through the forest, isn't it?
Now, it's more so that we were following a path than wandering. We were more meandering.
Yes, but you're not going to find wildflowers on the path.
Well, considering this isn't a official sanctioned path, for all we know, the locals take it into a meadow where there is plenty of wildflowers.
Would you like to figure that out? Or would you like to follow the raccoon trail?
Well, you want to see it. Well, you were the one who wants to see a raccoon, so we'll go and see a
Smiles.
raccoon.
I do, actually.
If you really want, because of the fact that the ranch is somewhat close to a brush lens, you can probably set out some food tomorrow and see what sort of critters show up. Judging the fact that people sometimes live in that ranch, the raccoons might be used enough to feeding off of people's scraps that they might come up in masses.
Perhaps so.
Anyways, follow. Don't step on anything loud. Roll me stealth.
Oh boy. That is a
Yes, stealth.
yes, of course. Me and my 0 stealth.
Just gotta spend a willpower.
Nah. Fail. 1, 2, 3.
Alright, so you're walking. Eventually you hear a hiss, and then something like rushes off into the brush.
Ugh.
And it then starts, thankfully, it actually starts climbing up a tree. You're able to see it once it gets like about 10-ish feet up, where it's pretty sure you can't get to it unless you start climbing. It's a large, gray, fluffy creature that has a ringed tail.
It's the boy.
It's a boy, and he's thick. And it's just looking down at you with its beady black eyes, and it hisses every once in a while. And
That's it.
Celeste points to it and says, "There you go, a trash panda.
Well, that's one thick creature there, isn't it?
It must be bulking up. Or maybe it just eats really well, one or the other."
Just adjusts glasses, looks up, hands on hips at the raccoon, immensely satisfied.
It realizes that its hissing isn't doing anything, so it just kind of like just stares back. Raccoons are quite intelligent. And they
As I've
have
read.
opposable thumbs.
Just rather so apt at climbing, likely.
And opening things.
Yeah, they seem to have quite a bit of grabby hands, from what I've learned from my previous research.
Yes. There's a reason why I refer to it as a trash panda. I don't know what a panda is, but I know that they are a trash panda.
1 second. Just 3 successes to
Alright.
know enough to know that a panda is a kind of bear if I finally met my match in history.
You finally met your match in history. You don't know what a panda is either.
I am more amicable towards the raccoon than not. Fantastic. May I use your scope? I want to get a better look at it.
Hana, we're like
Yeah.
20 feet away from it.
I want to get a better look at it.
This scope is 4 times, Hana.
So, I'll get a better look. It's just going to be very magnified.
Oh, gives you the scope. I mean, you can see all the details of that boy.
There he is! Here comes the boy! Happy Hana.
Alright.
Grins, hands it back. Alright, thank you. I'm
Very well.
appeased.
And if you like, we can end that one there.
Sure.